Just like anything in sport, doing it over and over until it feels a little more natural to them and they can start letting go a little and being more of themselves.
Yes. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Talk Elevation. I'm your host, Michaela Nagel, and today we're joined by Toni Lemma, the founder of Good Hype Media and accomplished sports photographer. Toni has dedicated her career to changing the way we look at athletes, helping them translate their stories on and off the court into powerful, authentic, personal brands. Today, we're unpacking why athlete branding matters more than ever, highlighting our new partnership with Fan Day Nation, revealing how the college athlete brand system is preparing the next generation of players for massive sponsorship opportunities. Let's get right into it. Toni, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Michaela.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started with Good Hype Media.
I have a deep sports background. I was a multi-sport athlete in high school. I ran track in college. Nice. And, it's one of those things where the athlete might leave the field, so to speak, but it never leaves you.
Right.
And so once I became a photographer, it was just kind of a natural evolution. I tried family photos and that kind of thing, and I really admire those that do it well, but my strength was always sports and athletes.
Yeah, just right back to sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was easy.
Yeah. Tell me about Good Hype Media and how you started that.
Well, it started with the photography.
Okay.
I worked with plenty of different athletes, a variety of sports. I just shot some golf yesterday. So it's, that became the norm, but the more around the athletes I was, especially at the amateur and lower levels, I saw a space where I could help them beyond just their photo and video content. And that was some of the outreach for partnerships and sponsorships and that kind of thing to help them on their journey, because a lot of them need it. They need all the extra help they can get.
Yeah, especially in today's world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as an accomplished sports photographer, you have a unique eye for detail. How has looking through the camera lens shaped the way you see athletes and deeper stories behind their game?
I think it's almost the inverse, if that's the right word for it, is being an athlete myself.
Right.
I see their day-to-day life and what they go through. The fans always see the championships and the medals and the accomplishments, but not everyone sees the struggle and the day-to-day and the grind, so to speak. And, I like the name itself. I like to hype people up, and I want to be in their corner and support them. And so it all just kind of comes together where I see that their perspective,
right?
And I want to highlight that.
How long do you work with certain athletes? Is it over years? Is it over a couple weeks? Or how are you helping them brand, and how long does that take?
The branding athletes, I've got some that I'm on 2 years with. But occasionally I get athletes that come to me for just periodic content pieces to help them fill their page. And they've always asked for a little bit of advice and that kind of thing, but it just varies.
Yeah, absolutely. What does that branding process look like on the back end of it?
Well, it always starts with getting to know them. You can take two athletes in the same sport, but if you ask me, they're always very different. They come from different backgrounds. They have different goals, different places they're at in their competitive level, or even just outside hobbies. Some of them do other athletics, or they're into music and things like that. And so getting to know them is, I think, the most important piece and what makes them different.
Yeah. Why is it so important for athletes to be branded in today's world, especially?
Back to comparing two athletes, if there's a spot on a roster, or if there's, a brand looking at two athletes, if you're apples to apples, what is the thing that makes them different? What separates them? And this is one area that they can, I don't want to say easily, because it requires its own level of work. But if they go back to their pages and their links or their YouTubes or what have you, that can be the difference maker for them.
Absolutely. What do they need to do to help brand themselves that maybe you can't help them with, that they just need to kind of figure out for themselves a little bit?
Practice putting themselves out there. And that's hard to do. I totally get it. Some are better at it than others. Some are naturals. they don't mind being in front of the camera, but some of them need a little encouragement and some guidance and some ideas. And after that is just repetition, just like anything in sport, doing it over and over until it feels a little more natural to them and they can start letting go a little and being more of themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we move on, let's talk about something every serious athlete needs to pay attention to: your digital footprint. Fan-Day Nation has just released a powerful new tool to help athletes make sure their social media profiles are fully optimized and recruit ready. Today, coaches aren't just evaluating game film, they're evaluating character, leadership, and maturity online. This resource gives you a step-by-step roadmap to clean up your profiles, highlight your strengths, and avoid common mistakes that can cost opportunities. If playing at the next level is your goal, don't leave your online presence to chance. Go check it out now at fandaynation.com. Absolutely. So when you're sitting down with a player, what do you enjoy most about helping them uncover and build their personal brand?
I think discovering what makes them different,
Yeah.
you know, because to you and I, we look in the mirror every day and it's just our own face. And to an athlete, their daily routine to them might seem boring, but to the rest of us, their followers, their fans, you know, those things are actually quite interesting. And so to help them realize what it is that actually makes their lives unique and special, you know, and give them that perspective, I think that's a really fun piece of it, because to them it's just every day. And to the rest of us, you know, some of like, what did you have for lunch? Why? You know?
Right.
How do I get that? Is that, you know, is that going to make me a fierce competitor too? Or, you know, things like that.
Right. Do you see like athletes have this aha moment that people are like looking at them that they didn't know they were unique kind of thing?
I think sometimes, I have one example. I had an athlete that it was his first time putting together kind of a day in the life. And it was his first time. It wasn't perfectly produced or anything like that, but it generated, and this is someone that's got less than 2,000 followers at the time. It was like 20,000 views.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think that was a little moment of like, you know, what you do every day is interesting.
Right.
And so now that we know that people are interested in hearing and seeing all of those details about your life, maybe we double down on that and try other ways of exploring the same subject.
Yeah. I feel like day in the lives are so popular nowadays. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I even love watching them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we're thrilled about our collaboration between our teams. What first stood out to you about Fan-Day Nation?
I think helping those athletes that don't have the exposure or the resources or the structure that they're looking for, because it's hard to know where to begin, and it's hard to know where you fit in the scheme of things. You know, it's easy for these 5-star recruits. Sometimes it seems like things fall in their lap and are just given to them, but that's such a small percentage of athletes. So everyone else is kind of like, well, if I'm not a 5-star recruit, what can I possibly do to bring these opportunities for myself? And there's many ways to get those opportunities and succeed in, you know, following through and that kind of thing. But knowing where to begin is really tough. A lot of them are kids, you know, they don't have the life experience or the experience of rejection or trial and error and that kind of thing. So it's nice to have that perspective to bring to them.
Yeah. What do you think recruiters are looking for just beyond athletic ability?
Well, I mean, being a team player, you know, and your attitude, you know, because no matter what level athlete you are, you're going to lose.
Yep.
You know, you're going to have struggles. You might have an injury and things like that. So your ability to get over those hurdles and maintain a winning attitude, it doesn't mean we're happy all the time, but at least that discipline and that steadiness to keep, you know, working through life's struggles.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a big one. There's many, but I think that's important. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do the strengths of Fan-Day Nation and Good Hype Media complement each other, and what excites you most about what we're building for these athletes?
What I see the most in Fan-Day Nation is that structure and kind of the blueprint that they've put together, and the platform and the media opportunities for the athletes. And where I come in is helping them to leverage that media and the promotional side and put that in front of these brands and businesses and potential partners, and see where we can, merge all of that together and help the athlete succeed beyond sport. This is really great practice for athletes, student athletes specifically, to start working with, business owners and creating these business relationships and learning what that's like and how it's different than homework.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think that's an important piece for them.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the modern era of college sports, why should student athletes prioritizing building their personal brand rather than waiting until their playing days are over?
It kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said. It gives you kind of a running start at life. You not only the practice of engaging business owners and sticking to schedules and showing up on time, which athletes have to learn by virtue of being on a team.
There's a common misconception that performance on the field is all that matters. Is talent alone enough anymore? And what are the major brands actually looking for? We kind of already talked about this, but I guess maybe not what recruiters are looking for, but why do people want to partner with them? And why would athletes want to go there?
I think back to comparing apples to apples. If you have two athletes that have the same follower count and the same success level on the field, what is it that makes them different and unique? And then after that, brands are looking for alignment, whether that's the lifestyle of the athlete and how that goes hand in hand with the brand's purpose and, what they're motivated in their business to do. Some brands are looking for just exposure. Some brands want to be a part of sport. Some are looking to drive business and get traffic through the doors. So all of those things kind of have to fall into place to create a really great partnership. And then after that, it's follow through and execution. Yeah.
What do athletes need to do in order to keep this momentum going and find those brands, and what work do they have to put in that you can't do?
They definitely need to put in that work. We can only give them so much guidance and structure, and after that it's up to them to do the posting and their captions and stay in line with talking points and things of that nature. If they already have a brand partnership, a lot of times that business, I've been delivered specific talking points many times that they're asking for the athletes to follow through and execute on. And it's not that they're looking for perfection. In fact, that's the opposite. They're looking for the athlete's take on that talking point. And I think that's an interesting piece to it.
Yeah.
And so back to just doing your homework, we don't want to just check off, the list.
Right.
We want to make it our own. And so I try not to give them too much instruction when it comes to that kind of thing, but just generalized talking points, and let's hit that, but do it in your own way. And if you can bring your own personality to it.
Yeah. Have you had athletes struggle with kind of keeping up with what they're supposed to be doing for brands and stuff?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's where content calendars come into play, because it's a lot to keep track of. And for the really successful ones that have 5, 6, 10 sponsors or brand partnerships, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so if you're not writing it down and sticking to your schedule, it's really easy to fall behind. And so you don't want someone like me calling and saying, we're past due.
Yeah, you need to get it done. Yeah. When it comes to building an audience, do raw follower counts matter more than true authenticity? Sorry, I can't talk. And can athletes at smaller schools still land meaningful brand partnerships?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Back to what I said about what the business's goals are, if they're looking to drive traffic and increase their sales, they might hone in on those follower counts a little bit more than maybe a smaller business would. But again, if they're choosing between two athletes, they're going to go with the one that's most authentic and has the most personality and is willing to try, different ways to promote the product or even just bring their own flavor to the content itself, because it's just much more interesting. Like, let's be honest, right? Like, we don't want to be generic, and that's why these businesses choose to work with athletes, because it's a different form of promotion and marketing for them.
Right, exactly.
We're proud to celebrate women who lead on and off the court. Nico Stones welcomes new brand ambassador Sophie Ziddell, a standout basketball player at the University of Colorado. Her exclusive edits is all about confidence, strength, and the style that moves with you. Support women in sports and shop Sophie's limited collection now at nicostones.com.
What are you looking for when you're looking for brands that want to partner with athletes? Is there any brands that you've turned down because you didn't like their look of things?
Yes, I have, actually.
Okay.
But that's more on the business side and, principles and alignment in that way, because these tend to be longer term working relationships.
Yeah.
I begin with what's going to help the athlete the most in their day-to-day, whether that's nutrition or gear or treatment, those kinds of things. I do have athletes put together wish lists of the products that they use, and I say, go for it, put it all down. It's all worth a try, and we'll reach out.
Yeah.
And then if that brand sees an alignment with us, then we've started a discussion.
Yeah. Do you find out what the athletes want to partner with first, and then you kind of, when you find these brands, then pick certain people that would be best fit for it? Or is it kind of just, how does that all go together?
It's really an art, I guess you'd say, because sometimes I do go off my athletes list, because sometimes it's a general product description, if you will, but sometimes it's a very specific business that maybe they already frequent, and that's already a great launching point to start a discussion with the business owners. They have, I have an athlete that's in like every week, and so that makes it easy to start talking to them and introducing the athlete. But sometimes if I don't really know, and I know that the brand or business could be a really great partner, sometimes it's a matter of just getting the introduction and starting to feel out what they might be looking for, and not necessarily putting a specific athlete forward. I've had brands take on all of my athletes, so I don't ever want to take that off the table either. So it's kind of feeling it out and seeing where things land, and then making the most out of the partnership, whether it's a specific athlete that they're gravitated to, or if they just want to help all of them in whatever capacity that they can.
Yeah, that's cool. So what is the single biggest branding mistake you see athletes make today?
I think they tend to just hesitate, and whether it's consistently posting, posting not enough, or not putting themselves out there. And that's actually a very common and frequent discussion I have with them. It's almost like they need permission, and so that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give you permission.
You go do
because
it.
It's all trial and error. If it works, we keep doing it, and if it doesn't work, we don't ever have to visit it again. And there's a delete button. We can always,
that's not a problem.
always take it down, but you don't know until you try. And so I think putting themselves out there and just seeing what works, and that's not, it sounds easier said than done,
right? Of course,
because you feel very vulnerable, but that's, I think, the very first thing that athletes should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just giving it a whirl.
Just try it. Just see what it does. What is one simple thing every athlete can do this week to immediately improve their brand visibility?
I think, back to just putting yourself out there, but maybe start with like 3 to 5 things that or think that make you different. Like I said, if you have like an outside hobby or interest, those are things that really set you apart from your teammates and competitors. And so that's a great way to give insight into who you are and maybe increase your exposure and reach to new fans or followers that maybe didn't know that about you. Like say you're into music or you're an artist of some kind, like that makes you much more interesting.
Yeah. What about the athletes who really don't know where to start on those platforms and don't know, what videos or pictures or how to promote themselves? What should they start doing?
If you are really starting at square one, I mean, there's always Google and there's research.
Right.
But actually that's, I've accidentally made a good point. Research, you can look on Instagram other successful NIL athletes and others, whether it's in your sport or not, and just seeing what clearly works for them and what makes them different and why people seem to be interested in following their story.
Yeah, for sure. So your program is turning heads across the industry. What core problem does the college athlete brand system solve, and what makes it different from standard social media management?
I think that's structure.
Yeah.
It's one thing to just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what works, but why not make that a little more streamlined and intentional with some kind of a blueprint to follow? And then also when you've got the platform with podcast appearances and media opportunities, and a little bit of help in your corner, it's going to make it a lot easier to get started than just
for sure
giving it a try,
which
is worth it too. But if you have the opportunity, definitely look into that professional perspective and help.
Yeah. And my last question for you is, what true transformation do you hope these athletes experience after joining?
I think a lot of it's their empowerment off the field.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have the confidence in your athletic abilities, but to see another side to yourself that maybe you didn't know that you had strengths in, I think that's really neat to see. And those tend to be the traits and qualities that will translate later in whatever career path that they choose.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Toni, we're so excited about this partnership, and we can't wait to talk more and learn more about you and Good Hype Media in general.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to listen to the podcast. This is Michaela Nagel at the Talk Elevation, and we'll see you next time.